Operation Barbarossa proves that it's not about how big something is, but how well you use it. Despite being the largest invasion in history, Operation Barbarossa was a failure. During World War II, Germany invaded the Soviet Union on June 22, 1941. This was given the codename Operation Barbarossa. Adolf Hitler thought that the Nazis would win quickly, but what he got was a brutal campaign that dragged on and finally failed because of strategic mistakes, harsh winter weather, and strong Soviet resistance. But before that, let's see what led to Operation Barbarossa in the first place. In August 1939, Germany and the Soviet Union, which was led at the time by Joseph Stalin, signed a mutual non-aggression pact. This meant that neither country would go to war with the other for 10 years. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact surprised the world and specifically upset France and Britain because they had previously signed an agreement with Hitler's government only for it to be broken when Germany invaded Czechoslovakia earlier that year. Hitler's goal for the pact was to get rid of a mutual defense agreement between France and the Soviet Union. He also wanted to make sure that the Soviets would stand by when Germany invaded Poland, which was its next target. And the Soviet Union agreed to this because there were hidden plans in the pact to divide Poland into spheres of influence, with Germany taking the western half and the Soviet Union taking the eastern half. On September 3, 1939, France and Britain went to war with Germany. This was 2 days after Nazi Germany attacked Poland. After 8 months of what was called a phony war, Germany started its Blitzkrieg, which means lightning war, in Western Europe in May 1940. And in just 6 weeks, they took over Belgium, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, and France. A wonderful feat in itself. Now that France had been defeated, and only Britain stood between Germany and the rest of Western Europe, Hitler moved his attention to his next goal, which was Germany's expansion into the Eastern Front. By definition, this meant that the Soviet Union had to be defeated, and its land, especially the resource-rich Ukraine, had to be taken over by Aryan Germans instead of the original Slavic people, who Hitler thought were of a lower race. By the end of 1940, Hitler had given Führer Directive 21, which was a plan for Germany to attack the Soviet Union, going against the pact he had with Stalin, a true testament of no honor amongst thieves. Stalin was warned over and over that Hitler was planning an attack, but he didn't believe them. So, when the Germans invaded, the Red Army wasn't ready. On June 22, 1941, Operation Barbarossa began when more than 3 million German and Axis troops attacked the Soviet Union along a 800-mile front. It was Germany's biggest invasion force of the war and made up about 80% of the Wehrmacht, which is the German military. It was also one of the most powerful invasion groups in history. The Luftwaffe was able to shoot down more than 1,000 Soviet planes on the first day of the attack alone. At first, German troops moved quickly along the huge front and captured millions of Soviet soldiers, and proceeded to kill them as well as civilians, especially Soviet Jews. Hitler's plans for the invasion included the Commissar Order, which said that all captured enemy leaders could be killed right away. Also, against international rules of war, many Soviet prisoners of war were killed as soon as they were captured. Operation Barbarossa was a ruthless operation. By the end of September 1941, the Wehrmacht had taken over Kiev, Ukraine. With help from their Finnish friends, the Germans were able to cut off Leningrad from the rest of Russia in the north, but they were not strong enough to take the city itself. Instead, Hitler told his troops to starve Leningrad until it gave up. This started a siege that would last 872 days. Hitler gave the order to start Operation Typhoon, the German attack on Moscow, at the beginning of October 1941. The delay gave the Soviets time to protect their city with 1 million more soldiers and 1,000 new T-34 tanks. After a successful first attack, the muddy roads of fall, known as Rasputitsa or Quagmire season, stopped the German advance outside of Moscow, where they ran into stronger Russian defenses. Midway through November, panzer divisions made one last effort to surround Moscow. They got within 12 miles of the city, but the Red Army beat back the attack with help from Siberia. This stopped the German advance for good as the harsh winter weather set in. Early in December, the Soviets launched a surprise counterattack that put the Germans on the defense and forced them to withdraw. Even though Operation Barbarossa took over more land and hurt the Red Army, it failed at its main goal, which was to get the Soviet Union to give up. Hitler said that the winter weather was to blame for the loss of the Moscow offensive, but the whole thing failed because there wasn't enough long-term strategic planning. The Germans thought they could win quickly, so they didn't set up enough supply lines to deal with the long distances, cold weather, and rough terrain. They also didn't realize how strong the Soviet resistance was, which Stalin did well to boost by telling people to protect Mother Russia. Hitler's Commissar order and other cruel actions by the Germans made the Red Army even more determined to fight until the end. So despite being the biggest invasion in operation, it was also the biggest failure in history. If you enjoyed this video, then you will definitely enjoy this video on the revenge of the Soviet Union for what Hitler did. That is all we have for you today. Click the subscribe button and the like button if you found this video informative. Also, hit the little bell so you get notified when we post new informative videos like this just for you. Thank you for watching. Till next time.